some good hot days and a lot of really hard work out there. And this is kind of the really grind time where got a lot of stuff in on them mentally, and then obviously the physical toll of the way that we practice and style that we practice in. And so that's an adjustment for a number of these transfers, which was to be expected. So I think they're plugging along, doing well. Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do to get to where we want to be.
Lane, at the end there, we got to watch a little special teams. Just what have you seen out of Jonathan and even some of the other guys, and kind of just your look at the whole special teams as a whole?
Well, we obviously ended last year, without the kicker. We were just talking about that the other day. Like, you kind of have a perfect storm in that game of us not doing a great job with a game plan, and then right tackle, quarterback, and kicker go down. Isn't really a good feeling. So, we brought in another kicker due to the situation that we're in. Someone we were familiar with that actually beat us at FAU years ago on a 50-some yard field goal, I think 56 or something, to beat us. And so he's done a good job out there, and got a young punter that, is very talented, and, just got to adjust to the game.
Lane, just a weekend of practices, where would you guys say you guys are on schedule, behind schedule, above schedule, just kind of from where you want it to be through 6 practices?
I think we're probably close, to the variables being all the new guys, and so probably not where we'd want to be normally, but I do have to take that into consideration because, again, your new guys usually are at the bottom. You got a lot of new guys that have played a lot, and we expect them to play, and that's why they're here. So that's a work in progress, and it's really both sides. As you guys being out there, you can look out there and see easily, half the guys out there going against each other, are portal guys. So, I thought about it in, a play today, and I'm like, that guy was just playing for Auburn, covering the guy that just played for Mississippi State. So it's just the world we're in.
That first offensive line group seems pretty set. Beyond that, in terms of depth, how are you guys feeling after that?
Better. We have some really promising young guys that have bright future and talented and long. And so, this is the time where we got 1 million reps going on both fields, and they hit wall. These young guys at all positions hit walls right now, and it's hard for them. So we'll keep plugging along.
I guess time for the obligatory quarterback question. Looked like they both had a couple of good days these last 2 days. Just how are they progressing?
I know it sounds like a broken record. They do some things really well, and then at times they look young again. So, and everything in life is about what you just saw. So, not trying to say I'm smarter than other people, but, you take for granted what you have in life in all areas sometimes. And I kept telling our guys the last 2 years, especially last year, guys, these throws, ain't many people making these throws. And, you're just used to every throw being, in there and not just miss. So, it takes some getting used to having new quarterbacks and losing a veteran that was, elite arm talent.
Can you just talk about the decision to move Rafe Venison from receiver to safety, or do you feel like that position group is thinner than most?
Not necessarily. Rafe, you go back to, I think it was state playoffs or championship. I remember watching a highlight tape of him, and, how well he hit people and would strike, and we've seen him do that in special teams drills. So, we always look outside box and try people at different spots, and he could be back on the other side next week, or he could be there staying. So, and it's not all bad when you move offensive players to defense early into camp, because they're basically training how to play defensive tackle, which is a lot of special teams. So even if they come back, I think it's a good thing.
Lane, it looks like you guys could be deep at running back again with 3 different names, 3 brand new guys. What are the most important things for them to learn as they learn a new offense, and collectively, where do you see that group?
Well, I think, you always ball security with new players is an issue, or a concern, not an issue. And just picking things up, especially pass protections. And for us, different than a lot of places, you got to get trained in how to play in this tempo. And if the running back's not in shape, that's not very good, because he's going to have to come out, they're going to sub, and we're going to slow down. So we've had some pretty elite conditioned running backs here in the previous place that were able to sustain drives a really long time, which helps a ton. Think about it. If you can be in shape enough, it's not just so you carry the ball, it's so we don't have to let them sub. And when you don't have one, it makes it challenging.
J.J. Henry made a couple of nice catches today. What impresses you the most about him, or what have you seen from him, and what kind of impact do you hope that he has?
Yeah, I think JJ's matured and has had a great end of the spring, as you guys saw, and then had a great camp. Has had a great camp so far, and just it's happy because nowadays we're into just everything brand new, and everything's a plug and play, someone new. So to see a guy that's been here and really get better through our process has been great, and it's awesome to see.
You were talking about with the QBs, Jackson and Luke, how they both, some do some good things, bad things, and it seems like it's pretty close between the two. If they remain close, like when the season was approaching, do you think the fact that Jackson was a big splash transfer portal addition, would that play any of a role into a tie-breaking vote for him to start, just to impact the transfer portal for the future? Just so if you wanted to get a QB in the future, a guy would be like, oh, if I go to Ole Miss, I'll actually play there,
Yeah, that's a fair question. That absolutely would have nothing to do with how we play players here. And we've got tons of examples over time. We don't care how many stars you are, where you're from, whether you're from the state, whether you're not. I mean, when I got here, I was dumb for playing the other quarterback. So, we don't look at anything that way. So it doesn't matter where he came from or whether he played or how many stars he is. Will have nothing to do with whether he plays. But fair question.
Along those lines, and not just about quarterback, do you put more weight into a scrimmage like the one you have coming up Saturday, or as opposed to the practices that the kind of the routine practices of the week?
Yeah, I think you put more weight into the scrimmage than ever, because of the quarterbacks being young and because of all these portal guys everywhere that haven't played together. And as far as with us, we haven't seen the defensive guys tackle. So, and some are at different positions maybe than what you'd seen them at other places the year before. So I don't recall scrimmages ever being, more important than these coming up.
How have you seen Jalen Knox kind of getting back into things through these 6 practices, and obviously just a bevy of receivers you're trying to get back in the group?
Yeah, Jalen's a name not mentioned a lot because he's been injured while he was here, but he was really special at Missouri. It's why he's here, even though he had to sit out. But he's had a lot of injuries since he's been here, so he's not really been able to get back to that same look. But he's getting close, which would be great because there's a lot more attention of some of these portal guys and different stuff. But this guy was making plays in this conference 2 years ago.
I think you touched on it there with some of those receivers that you've mentioned previously, but just through now 6 days of fall camp or a little bit more, just kind of how have you seen just that depth at receiver just kind of evolve, ever since spring ended and then a couple weeks in?
Oh, really well. Obviously, you got 2 significant portal players that weren't even here, in the spring. So, that are supposed to be impact players. So it's very unique again to have all these faces, and outside of Mingo, there's really nobody's in there that's played a ton and made significant plays to a room that's was very critical to our success the last 2 years. So again, scrimmages will mean a lot for those guys to play with the quarterbacks.
Tywone Malone obviously was playing baseball for a while there. Where's he kind of at? Is he getting up to speed, and where do you kind of think he is right now?
He is, suffered an injury a year ago, and missed time obviously with the baseball part, which is unique for a defensive lineman. But we're excited with his progress and excited with his future.
Just kind of broadly, what are you looking for from defensive players this early in camp? You mentioned no tackling yet. What do you see that kind of puts guys ahead of other guys?
I think we lost some rare attitude, preparation, tough guys last year, a number of them that are now on to the NFL. And so, just when you don't know these guys, you see them on film, you meet them one time on a visit, you're not really sure how they're going to be out there. So just kind of seeing the intangibles that go with it and the leadership, because again, they're coming in, if they're going to play, they're playing significant roles as older players. I mean, they got to be your leaders, which is very abnormal.
With y'all now transitioning to full pads, just in the coming days, when y'all are in pads, I mean, how soon are you expecting that pecking order to be defined at certain positions, just kind of from a physicality standpoint?
Yeah, we don't do, the pad thing's overrated. Basically, you put your knee pads in is about the only difference. So, we don't really do a whole lot until you get to scrimmages where it really matters. But the pecking order part, we're more concerned just with guys getting reps so we can evaluate them versus where exactly, what unit they're with. All right, thanks.